For more than 200 years, a battle raged for the soul of South India. Two massive empires locked in a struggle that would define an era, leaving behind a legacy of conquest, culture, and architecture that honestly still blows my mind today. So, let's get right into the epic story of the Vijayanagara Empire and the Bahmani Kingdom. We're going to start with this quote from a Persian ambassador way back in the 15th century. Just listen to those words. This isn't just high praise. It's someone trying to describe a city that was basically one of the wonders of the world. This really sets the stage for the kind of grandeur we're talking about here.
So you gotta wonder, right? How does a magnificent empire like that even come to be? Well, like a lot of great powers in history, it was born out of complete and utter chaos. Let's take a look at the wild times that allowed not one, but two rival empires to rise up from the ashes.
Okay, so picture this. It's the 14th century. The old dynasties that had ruled South India for ages were just shattered by invasions from the north. This created a massive power vacuum. It was a time of fear and uncertainty for sure, but all that chaos, it also opened the door for new leaders, new powers to step in and take charge. And boy, did they emerge. In 1336, you have two brothers, Harihara and Bukka, who found the Vijayanagara Empire. And then, just 11 years later, in 1347, the Bahmani Kingdom is established right to their north. I mean, think about that. These two bitter rivals were born in the very same decade. They were destined to be in conflict from the moment they came into existence. And this map tells you everything you need to know about their rivalry. You've got Vijayanagara in the south, the Bahmani Kingdom in the north, and this long, contested border between them. And right in the middle, the real prize, the Raichur Doab. It's this super fertile piece of land between two rivers. It wasn't just about food. It was about controlling trade. It was the flashpoint for pretty much all of their wars for centuries.
Now, even though their history was full of fighting, the Vijayanagara Empire had a period of glory that was just unparalleled. And this golden age is almost completely defined by one absolutely legendary ruler.
And this is the man, Krishnadeva. He only ruled for about 20 years, but his impact was so huge that people compare him to giants of Indian history like Ashoka. He took the throne at a really tough time, with enemies on all sides, but he was the one who would transform the empire into the absolute powerhouse of the south. Krishnadeva was first and foremost a brilliant military commander. He aggressively expanded the empire, conquering that critical Raichur fort and pushing deep into enemy territory. But he was also an incredibly clever politician. Get this, he earned the title Yavana Raja Pratishtapanacharya, which basically means restorer of the Yavana kingdom. He got it because he freed a captured Bahmani prince and put him back on the throne. It was a total checkmate on the political chessboard of the time. And this quote, wow, it gives you a direct window into how he led. Right before a huge battle, this is what he told his troops. It's simple, it's powerful, and it shows a guy who led from the front, inspiring his soldiers with both a spiritual promise and a direct challenge to their honor. But here's the thing that makes him so fascinating. His reign wasn't just about swords and strategy. He was a huge patron of the arts. His court was home to the Ashtadigahas, the 8 elephants of Telugu poetry. He was even a talented poet himself. It just proves his genius went way beyond the battlefield. All right, so let's shift gears. Let's head north and talk about Vijayanagara's great rival. Because the Bahmani Kingdom was a formidable power in its own right, with brilliant minds and a really unique culture. Two people really tell the story here. First, Muhammad Gawan. He was a prime minister and administrative genius who took the kingdom to its absolute peak. He also founded a famous college, a madrasa, making his capital a major center of learning. And then there's Ibrahim Adil Shah II, a sultan known for his amazing religious tolerance. I mean, his book, Kitab-e-Navaras, actually starts with prayers to the Hindu gods Ganesha and Saraswati. Just think about that for a second. That was remarkable for the era. The Bahmanids and the states that came after them developed this really distinct style of architecture called Indo-Saracenic. It's this beautiful fusion of Indian and Islamic designs. The perfect example is the Gol Gumbaz. Look at those domes, those arches, that massive scale. It's a completely different vibe from the towering temples of Vijayanagara, but just as impressive. But this powerful, centralized Bahmani kingdom just didn't last. After Muhammad Gawan died, internal rivalries just spiraled out of control. The whole thing weakened from the inside, and eventually the kingdom fractured into 5 smaller independent sultanates. And this split, it was going to have massive consequences for everyone.
Now, for a while, you'd think this was great news for Vijayanagara, right? Their main rival is falling apart. But this messy new political map would actually lead to the single most decisive and devastating battle in South Indian history.
So this is the million-dollar question. Vijayanagara was at the absolute height of its power and wealth. How could it all come crashing down so fast? Well, the answer is a deadly mix of arrogance and an alliance that no one saw coming.
So what lit the fuse? It all started with provocation. The ruler of Vijayanagara at the time, Ramaraya, got a little, let's say, overconfident. He started playing the different sultans against each other. But this constant meddling, combined with just sheer envy of Vijayanagara's incredible wealth, pushed the sultans to do the unthinkable. They united. They forgot all their own little squabbles and formed a grand alliance with one single goal: destroy Vijayanagara. And so the stage was set. In the year 1565, near a place called Talakot, these two massive armies finally clashed. This was it, the final climactic showdown that would decide the fate of South India for centuries. The result was an absolute catastrophe for Vijayanagara. Their army was crushed, Ramaraya was killed, and the victorious sultans marched on the capital, Hampi. For months, they systematically looted and burned the city that was once called the most magnificent on earth, leaving it in a smoldering ruin. The Golden Age was over. So the empires are long gone. Their armies have vanished. Their incredible wealth was looted. But they left behind something so much more enduring, a legacy carved in stone that, even today, is just hard to believe. I mean, just look at this. The famous stone chariot at Hampi. It's not just a sculpture, it's a shrine, carved out of solid granite to look like a chariot. And its stone wheels could actually turn. This one object tells you everything about the mind-blowing level of craftsmanship they had. And this shows their grand vision. The Vijayanagara kings perfected the style of temple, with massive gateway towers called gopurams that just dominated the skyline. The Virupaksha temple is still an active place of worship today, a proud survivor standing tall in the ruins. But their rivals were not to be outdone. Their legacy is just as awe-inspiring. We come back to the Gol Gumbaz. Its dome is one of the largest unsupported structures in the entire world. It's an absolute engineering marvel, famous for its whispering gallery. It's a testament to the scientific and architectural genius of the sultans. And that really brings us to the final thought, doesn't it? The kings and the sultans are gone, their power, their politics, all erased by time. And yet here we are, centuries later, standing in the ruins of their cities, staring up at their creations in absolute wonder. It really makes you ask, how can an entire empire just vanish, but leave behind a legacy in stone so powerful it still takes our breath away?